Vancouver's condo market is at a crossroads. Sales are up, prices are down. What is going on? With more inventory hitting the market, should buyers take advantage of the slowdown, or will waiting pay off? Let's break down what's happening with condo prices and what this really means for you. So first, let's look at sales and inventory trends. Overall, sales are up year over year, but they're down month over month. So first, let's look at year over year. In January 2025, 846 condos were sold. This is up 13.4% from January 2024, where 746 homes were sold. And from what I remember working in the January 2024 market, it seemed pretty busy. So I'm actually surprised to see that there are more homes sold this January. But now when we look at month over month, so December 2024, we're actually down 11.4%. So 955 home sales in December 2024. And again, only 846 this January 2025. It is pretty interesting to see that the home sales actually dropped from December to January, because December is Christmas, the holiday season. Typically things start to slow down in December and pick up again in January and February. So to see sales down from December to January, it's a little bit surprising. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen in February, because that will dictate where the momentum is heading in this current market. For example, if the February sales are higher than they are in January 2025, we'll know that it was just due to the seasonal slowdown and the momentum of the market is picking up moving into the spring market. But if the February sales are down or the same as the January 2025 sales, then we'll know it's not just a seasonal slowdown and the market is actually slowing down. So sales are just half the picture. Let's look at the inventory, the new listings that are coming to the market. In January 2025, there were 5,134 new listings. This is an increase from December 2024, where they were only at 4,408 listings, a 16.5% jump. So what does this mean? Obviously, there is so much more choice for buyers right now. And of course, this is fairly typical. In December, again, it's Christmas. People are not typically listing their homes. They're waiting for January to roll by. So this big uptick in listings is expected, but a 16.5% jump is quite a bit. And when you compare that to the amount of sales that happened in January 2025 being lower than December, we're seeing a market where power is shifting to the buyers and there is downward pressure on the prices, which you would expect to see when inventory starts to climb and sales and buyer demand starts to fall. So looking at these numbers, it really does indicate that buyers have more power. They're going to see less competitions, more subjects, and more negotiating power. So now let's take a look at days on market. And days on market means how long a home is sitting on the market before it actually gets sold. So right now, condos in Greater Vancouver are taking an average of 45 days to sell. Last month, December 2024, they were only taking 44 days to sell. So not too much change month over month for days on market. A 45 days on market average really means that buyers are still active. They're taking their time to make decisions, and it does show a consistent pace of sales in the condo market. So the sales and inventory numbers give us a really good idea of what's happening in the market. Now let's look at the overall pricing trends. So when we look at month over month benchmark pricing change, there wasn't much. So in January 2025, the benchmark price was $748,000. This is down 0.2% from December 2024, which was $749,000. So here we're seeing some stability in the pricing, which is always a good sign when we're seeing large fluctuations in the sales numbers and the listing numbers. But when we look at the bigger picture, so the year over year change, we see that the benchmark price is actually down from January 2024. So we're looking at a decrease of 1.7% in that benchmark price. So showing some cooling in the market. So now we're going to look at the sales to active ratio. This is a measurement that we use to look at whether or not we're in a buyer's market or a seller's market. So in December, the sales to active ratio was around 22%. Which is actually in seller's market territory. But now in January 2025, the sales to active ratio dropped to 16.5%. This is a huge change in the sales to active ratio, which ultimately means that we're moving from a seller's market into a more balanced market. So relative to the number of sales that are happening in Vancouver, we're seeing way more listings on the market. So if you're a buyer shopping for a condo in the Greater Vancouver area, this is a really good sign for you. This means that you have way more selection and not as much competition. All the numbers so far are pointing to the same thing. If you're a buyer in the condo market, you're laughing. So now with regards to pricing, we have seen some stability in pricing overall, but there are a lot of factors that are pushing downward pressure on prices. That includes rising inventory, because as inventory rises and buyers have more selection, if they can't get a price on one home, they can just move on to the next one, meaning sellers have to be more competitive with their pricing to attract the buyers to their listings. Another factor is investors waiting to see what's happening in the market. With all the uncertainty with interest rates and where they're going to go, but also the tariffs that the US may be implementing and all the turbulence in the government and how that's going to affect housing here in BC, many investors are sitting back waiting to see what's going to happen, therefore reducing the demand in the market. So everything we've reviewed so far are just the numbers in January 2025 compared to December and then January of last year. Now let's take a look at the key factors that are shaping the market for the rest of 2025. So first of all, there's interest rate sensitivity. A lot of condo buyers are first-time home buyers or investors, and these types of buyers are more sensitive to rate changes and mortgage rate increases. So in the condo sector specifically, if we see more rate drops, that could really increase demands and we could see another spike pushing prices up. If we don't see changes in interest rates or if they even go up, we could expect to see further cooling in the market where first-time homebuyers and investors are waiting to see what's going to happen, and they may be taking a step back to reassess their finances. Next, there is a lot of new supply that is entering the market, increasing competition for sellers. There are several new developments that are set to complete this year, some of these being very significant projects bringing a ton more inventory to the market. Pre-sale buyers who purchased in the peak 2021 and 2022 may look to assign their contracts, bringing even more supply to the market. And the buyers that are unsuccessful in assigning their contracts before completion are going to do their best to sell them after they complete. And I'm seeing this impact on buyers that I'm working with right now in that entry-level price point, because we're seeing new construction homes that are already complete at the same price or even cheaper than some of these new construction projects that haven't completed yet. So we're seeing some amazing deals on assignments and brand new construction right now, because a lot of these buyers that purchase at the peak don't want to close or complete, and they really want to get rid of these homes. So now we're looking at condos that are 15 years old, selling for a similar amount of money to a condo that is brand new. And with everything else being equal, I think we know what the buyer is going to choose: a brand new home that is under warranty. And this is important because typically in a more competitive market, a seller's market, the new construction is not going to be competing with the older and existing inventory on the market. But right now, in a slow market where some sellers are in distress from pre-sales that they purchased before, these sellers in both sectors of the market, being the resale, the older resale, and the new construction, are now competing with each other. So a tough situation if you're trying to sell a condo in this market. But if you are an investor or a first-time home buyer, now may be the time to get an amazing deal on a property. And lastly, moving into the rest of 2025, if you're looking for a condo, location matters more than ever. So what you would see in a seller's market is a home in a very poor location selling just as fast as a home that is in a really good location. But now in a buyer's market or a slower balanced market, this is a great opportunity to get a home in a A1 location, a prime location, for a very affordable price, because those homes in the really good location are now competing with all the other homes in the market, and there's a lot of them right now. So right now may be a really good time to consider a prime location right by SkyTrain. So Burquitlam has been really busy, very affordable product there right now. Metrotown and Brentwood are seeing a lot of competition on the seller side, so a lot of available listings. So right now is also a really good time to get a really good deal in those prime locations. Downtown Vancouver right now is seeing way slower price growth compared to other parts of the market. The areas right now that I'm seeing steady competition in are the suburbs, like parts of Surrey. Langley right now is extremely busy. I know a lot of investors are purchasing in Abbotsford too, but right now the price gap in what you can get in Surrey or Langley is really small compared to what you can get in Burnaby or Vancouver. So it may actually be a good time to purchase in a more expensive market while prices are depressed. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's look at some conclusions, how this impacts buyers and sellers. So first of all, buyers, I've been talking about buyers this entire video. More inventory means better deals for buyers. Right now is a great time to negotiate lower prices, and I can't predict the future, but there is a good argument to lock in a property now with a really good rate instead of waiting for rates to drop later in the year when competition could be more fierce, especially if you're a buyer that is really particular in what you want. Right now, you may have the widest selection you'll ever have the entire year with very little competition. And then buyers really need to consider neighborhood trends, because purchasing in a good neighborhood will hold its value way longer, and right now is a good chance to get in at a really good price. Okay, sellers, if you need to sell soon, then you need to price competitively. Overpricing will cause your unit to sit, and buyers will move on to all the other new inventory that is flooding the market right now. Marketing is going to be important. If staging is an option, then stage it, because helping a buyer visualize how they're going to use the space is going to make a big factor in their final decision when they're comparing your unit to other homes on the market. And then if you can, there may be an argument to hold off until later in the year. There are projections for more rate cuts on the horizon, and this could bring an influx of buyer demand and help absorb all that existing inventory in the market so that you're selling in a less competitive market. And now for the market outlook for the rest of 2025. In the short term, we could see more inventory if that's the way the market's trending, which it does seem like it is. And if sales continue to drop, we can see prices soften even further, keeping the market relatively balanced. And now in the mid to long term, if interest rates do drop, we can expect buyer demand to pick up, pushing prices back up. But overall, the condo market right now is the most balanced segment of the market when you're comparing to the detached market and the townhome market. And I have videos on those, so be sure to check them out. But despite the balanced market, first-time homebuyers and investors are still waiting to get in to see what's happening in the market in the long run. So we'll see what the numbers look like for February 2025, and that will really give us the trajectory of what is going on in the market moving forward. So that was your Vancouver condo market update. Be sure to subscribe if this was helpful to you. Leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you on the next market update video. Peace.